welcome on my first step ever. As excited as I am today to introduce our amazing guest speaker, quite young, quite successful, and he has made his own definition of success because this is the purpose of this particular podcast to bring to you the definitions of success that a person has so you can build your own, but also have conviction in your path and know that the behind the scenes of first step is actually the most important aspect of your own journey. So please join me in welcoming a really, really young and entrepreneurial mind, and he's doing really amazing things, which we will be talking about. But I would like to get to know him as a person, who he is, why he is what he is, and what all is going up in his professional and personal journey pertaining over here. So please join me in welcoming Sean Grealy, all the way from Australia. Hi, Sean. Welcome on my first step ever.
Hey, Shani, thank you so much for having me. Amazing intro. It's taking notes.
That definitely is all you that I'm kind of just putting into words and a bit of your energy sort of feeding onto it. So before we go further, and as I like to sort of grill with the questions that I have, I like to kind of speak a little bit more about who you really are, what you really are doing, and give context to our listeners today. So Sean is the founder of Sell Anything. Well, you heard it right. Sell anything. And if that has got your interest, then this episode is definitely for you to hear out. Okay. So Sell Anything works with founders leading sales to grow their revenue and has helped clients attain $1.7 million in new revenue in the last 12 months, which is quite exciting. Now, for anyone who's listening to us who really wants to understand the number game, we will be kind of touching upon that as well. But as I said, first we like to kind of get into who Sean really is and where does all this interest and these amazing results come from. So Sean started the company after spending 7 years in SaaS as a founder of his own aged care tech company, which helped over 4,000 families. Now this is really amazing. He also worked as a growth manager launching new software products to market. In 2019, Sean was awarded the South Australian Young Achiever of the Year for his company Mint. And this is a really well reputed award in Australia and South Australia. So kudos for that to you, Sean. And its community for impact. Sean credits his success to his willingness to ask awkward questions, something that I might ask some awkward questions probably, and seek help from the amazing Startmate, Hex, and Thinclab communities, which are in Australia. They help a lot of entrepreneur minds who really need those kind of support. So I'm so happy that Sean has really kind of tapped into these resources and made a venture out of his own. So Sean, let's just kind of go to this first question that I really am interested to kind of ask you is what mindset were you surrounded with when you were growing up? What kind of people, I mean, besides your family, we would like to understand how were things back then for you?
Yeah, it's such an interesting question because I probably don't ponder it very often, right? So yeah, I do actually come from quite a big family. So I'm the youngest of four, which I think has a huge impact. I have a twin sister. Very competitive. Wow. And yeah, very competitive in that sense. I come from a family of women. So probably seen the world a little differently on different aspects. And both my parents are one of seven. So I have like a ton of cousins, and it's fascinating because like I guess the thing I was drawn to is like the business sense, but if it was more around my personality, lovable American is probably who a lot of my relatives are, like my cousins. And from like my dad's side, it's a lot of like white collar, higher education, people with working consulting in different businesses actually. And my dad's dad was like a product inventor, which some of I probably didn't think much about this when I was younger. But and then on my mum's side was a lot more blue collar tradies, so tradespeople with their small businesses. And my mum's dad was also had his own small business. And I think that probably instilled this sense in me of like being surrounded by older people and being comfortable talking to people who are older than me. So not feeling weird about asking questions or not feeling unequal as well in that sense. And the other part, I think starting a business to me was never a question mark. It's kind of what you might just do. Yeah, I would say that's probably shaped like a lot of the people. I mean, this is like really young, can talk more about my teenage years, but it's probably shaped a lot of see the world now, I guess.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I think straight out of the bat, I see that you were actually planted around the people who were already, entrepreneurs in like different ways. And it kind of instills in you the confidence of maybe owning up your own job or owning up your own business. I think I can definitely see where the confidence of asking the questions, the awkward questions sort of comes from. Was there any time during that period, any sort of, a fear of anything while you were growing up? And if yes, if you're able to share with us, what was that and why? And if not, then why not?
Don't know if I had fear necessarily of anything. Maybe fear of not succeeding or doing well enough, probably. Like most overachievers are insecure. They're like called insecure overachievers, right? So maybe I probably did have a bit of that. And that can be from various things, who knows what. And that probably pushed me to want to do better and do great things. And I think also seeing your parents work hard for you makes you want to prove them right as far as their choice to raise you how they do and spend the money and put you through school and provide. So I think that would probably, I would say, have an impact, but I wouldn't say necessarily like that was a fear. I would say it's more just like I was probably cognizant of it as I grew up. Yeah, in reflection, I probably think about that more now as an adult.
Yeah, that's amazing that you kind of, share that with us, Rao, because I think a lot of people, when they're growing up, sometimes they're not growing in a very supportive environment. But I see that you were blessed enough to kind of grow in that sort of supportive environment. But along with that, everyone was really doing well professionally in their own way.
Actually interesting because my dad's dad, he probably showed me the way not to make a business because
Oh,
he was actually very like rest in peace. But he had lots of challenges from his own ways he liked to do things, very stubborn, which I definitely have as a characteristic. Like he couldn't let go of certain things. And I think that was really interesting to like see at a younger age. But my mum used to, because I didn't do too well in school for a couple of years just because of certain things. And my mum definitely instilled like a do what makes you happy kind of thing, and money, like don't worry too much about money. Which is a very privileged thing of being in Australia. I must admit, we have access to healthcare and minimum wages is decent, especially growing up in Adelaide where it's a lot more affordable. But I would probably say, having that support from my mum was definitely a huge impact for me. Yeah.
I think I really like to commend you over here for one thing, that you was pretty observant, while sort of growing up, that you could kind of, even though things are happening around you, while a lot of us are growing, we see things, but we really don't understand the meaning of things, or we kind of just, we don't have a takeaway of what's happening and do not apply that in our life. So it's really nice that you have kind of, observed how things were going with each your side of parents, family, and what you had to take as what should be done and what should not be done. And kind of I really like that fact that you are able to pinpoint that thing, or maybe when you reflect now, you're able to understand what is okay, let's do that, and what is okay, we'll not go on this path. So from there, while we, as you mentioned, that from that point of view, that being an entrepreneur was like, yes, this is the next thing, I mean, that was no brainer over there. But before you became an entrepreneur and you were kind of growing up, there comes this amazing teens, when you are kind of wanting to kind of indulge in maybe different professions, or you are just growing up, you're fragile, you're vulnerable. Did anything for you change around that time?
So I guess first with the first part of the question, yeah, I grew up skateboarding, which is like a very creative kind of against, like break the rules, don't break the law. So I think probably the creative drive in me came a lot from that and that community of people who you can spend time with and just go and do this, creative outlet. People are not judgmental. And you have a sense of community, and you can really get that sense of community anywhere in the world. I've skated in different places. I think that would shape a lot of how I probably view the world as well, which is you can just go up to anyone, like at a skate park as an example, and probably talk to them and you have a common interest. And I think that common interest can really drive what I then wanted to do, which was work in a skate store, be a skate park designer, which I did as a year 12 assignment as an example. Yeah, I think that's probably like what drove as an activity that I did in like other sports. I think that really in Australia as well, like that really drives how
Yeah.
a lot of us probably find our voice early on. Challenge of so like in year 9, I still remember, I realized that mum wouldn't give me money for the canteen as an example. So I started buying and selling soft drinks, right? Like
Wow.
I worked out I could buy like a 12 pack, a 24 pack and sell it for $1 per can, which you were not allowed to do at school. That kind of probably going between the lines a lot in early on has probably crafted a lot of where I've ended up with being comfortable asking awkward questions or questioning why we're doing things in a certain way. And I think that's probably one of the really good reflexes that I've developed is like asking, but why are we doing it that way?
Incredible. I think the takeaway from this particular, journey that you had, this phase that you had, if I can maybe share it with our listeners today, is that if you pick up any sport or if you pick up any sort of, creative kind of a thing that lets you, express your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts, you're able to, form your thoughts better, and you are also able to realize your strength, your potential, and that instills confidence. When you see yourself doing something, failing at something but learning from your failure, that really instills the confidence because you've made the progress, you've seen the progress that you have been able to do. So thank you so much, Sean, for sharing us, that how the creative outlet through your skateboarding came through, and how that you were able to find a solution where you were not you did not have the kind of money that you wanted to for your day-to-day expenses, that you were still, your brain was working on, let me find out a way. And during that journey, I'm sure that kind of finding a job for yourself to start earning it's a journey in itself, and you learn a lot. So if for our listeners today, if you are in that journey where you're seriously looking for a job, or starting your own side hustle to just start earning for your bare minimum expenses, that means you are actually exercising the skills that will definitely help you go forward in the job that you want, or maybe a company that you want to start. Because people skills, negotiation skills, as Sean said, asking the difficult questions is something very, very, very relevant, even at a very different level in business and corporation executive levels, or if you're doing things on your own. So it's great to know, Sean, that how you develop your skills over there. Now that we have seen that you've developed a lot of entrepreneur skills, and you were never afraid to kind of go up and ask people questions. So from there, when we travel to your university time, and we would like to know how things started kind of growing for you, or maybe shaping for you just before coming to your first steps of starting your business.
Yeah, sure. I would also add there, like, there should be no ego for income as well. So, talking about startups and tech and everything can sound very glamorous and very attractive, and people want to be an entrepreneur. But like, the reality is, like, I've had a lot of odd jobs. I've worked in bike store, I worked at a supermarket, I did paper round delivery, worked as a laboring hand. Like, I've done so many odd jobs, and you should, like, I moved out of home at 18. Like, you should have been paying rent ever since then, living independently. You should never have ego towards, I just really want to put that out there, because I remember thinking as well when I was like, I'm 27 now, but when I was say 18 or 17, 19, 20, 21, I just want to focus full time on this. Probably didn't like, but I would go and get a job, obviously, because I had to. And at that age, you don't understand that, like, everyone just has to work, like, to pay the bills. And it doesn't matter what you're doing and where you're working, just do the job, get the money, try and enjoy it, and develop skills through it, whether it's talking to people, understanding stock, trying to find the little things in those moments. And then I guess to answer your current question around, so after school, I got a job at a bike store, which was probably like the real moment that the whole I want to start a business thing clicked for me. And it's a business that's been around for over 30 years. It's called Glenelg Cycles, stand at Glenelg in South Australia. And it's a small business. Started as a bike builder. I was just out the back building bikes in summer.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually really hard. Yeah, it was cool. It was hard work. And then I found that I really had a pull towards the front of the store and talking to customers. I pretty much just ask the question. Like I just would try and stay out the front as much as possible, and I just asked the question to the boss of like, his name's Pete, absolute legend. Can I start working out the front, right? And it started with half a day, and then one day, and then it was like the shifts no one wanted, and then it was full time out the front, because I obviously had a skill set of talking to people and doing sales, and I was studying at the same time. I was doing a psychology degree, so I was in first year psych. I really struggled actually with that degree for a couple of reasons. Like first year psych is very similar to year 12 HSC. It was really difficult to make friends as well. So I took a semester off and then I just worked full time. I decided I wanted to transfer into a business degree. So I went into the Innovation Entrepreneurship Bachelor at Adelaide Uni. And I remember my first class, Jeweler, who's in the PhD space, he's actually built like a company to a Series B, like multi-billion-dollar business. He invented some technology, and I was like, this is the place for me, right? My degrees went from C's to D's and HDs, and I did really well, and I just applied everything in the degree to the business that I was working in at the bike store. That for me, like I'm very practical by nature, so if I want to learn something, I generally go and do it first without practical over theory. Just slowly progressed into, there's this, everyone's talking about tech startups. What's that about? And then that essentially, so this is 2016 I'm talking. So started a food tech company with someone I met during the degree. Her name's Nicole. I just went up to her and I literally just said, hey, I saw you pitch in class. Like, I really love what you're doing. I think I could help. We started catching up over the summer, and then I became like a co-founder. Didn't end up working out. We did some awesome stuff. Then I had this family problem with my grandfather and staying connected to him, and started Mint. And during that, I was plugged into, the Thinclab at Adelaide Uni, would just go to events and networking and really just show up was the main thing. So if there was something going on, I was there. If there was an opportunity to do something, I was putting my hand up, and still working at the bike store. So that was like, I was still working 3 or 4 days a week, studying part-time, and then trying to work on this startup as well. So that was kind of and it took me 6 years to finish my degree. So I was already running my company. Like I only graduated in 2021, and I'd already, by that point I was well and truly running my own business. So it's quite a funny experience.
Wow, that is amazing. That is like a roller coaster ride to what we have just come to. And there are some really amazing 3 takeaways that I have kind of, I just see it from your journey, your way of kind of looking at life. Probably that's why you are where you are today. The first thing is that you were able to, understand that what you are good at, and probably what you want to maybe, keep going ahead and strengthen and hone your skills. So you did, put your foot down, say that this is what I am good at. Maybe this is where I want to, pursue things further. So you did take the hard decision of this, or maybe, not jumping, probably, leaving the degree that you were doing and kind of going into a degree that you really found worthwhile. I think this is not a place where I am kind of propagating anyone to sort of do that. But what I'm trying to get at is, if you are able to hear your voice so clearly, if you're able to understand that these are your strengths and this is not what's not going right, and the only gap over here is the confidence, the courage to make that decision that I will go ahead with what I want and discontinue what is not kind of serving me. So that was the first takeaway that I think I could really see in your journey, and that's why maybe you move forward. Second, that you mentioned that you're a practical person and you always take action. I think that always serves really well to anyone if you have that kind of a mindset, because unless you put your amazing plan to action, you're not moving even 1 inch further. So that's great. And the third and the most important thing that you mentioned is just showing up. It is so important. I mean, you are not going somewhere with always having an agenda in mind. It's just that showing up, meeting with people, even understanding what are other people doing in your profession or in the industry, sometimes appreciating what other people are doing. So that is amazing, Sean, kind of understanding your behind the story, your how things kind of added up to your life till here. You're still very young. I mean, there's lots for you to come, but it's been amazing. I think the reason that some people are able to go forward on the path where they want, because they're able to understand themselves a bit more better and able to make those hard decisions at times. So thank you so much, Sean, for taking us through your, the amazing childhood and also the ups and downs, opening up to us a bit about, what really you value and how things have been for you. So I now want to kind of talk a little bit about Sell Anything. Could you please take us through your journey of Sell Anything, how it came into being, and what it is all about?
Really cool. Thank you for asking that. Yeah, so I think the context of it, right, is I started my own company at mid, and I did probably the opposite thing that a lot of people do, which is like I didn't go and get a career or a profession under my belt and develop hard skills or like technical skills. Probably the naive route, which really is helpful when starting a business, if I'm honest. My natural skill was corralling people around me, selling, building a vision and delivering that with authenticity and honesty, right? And then also making people like pretty much just believe in what we're doing, which ends up being a lot of fundamentals for selling and solving problems. I love solving problems, and the customer success side of me really loves when help solve a problem for people. So my company ended up failing, right? And I went and got a job where I was a specialist for the first time ever. And I just want to frame it. It was actually really difficult for me to get a job. So, which might sound odd, was almost not, almost couldn't get employed. So, which was a mix of like not understanding how to go about getting a job. The other thing was I'd been doing so many bits of lots of different things like products, sales, customer success. I didn't have a specialization. So I got hired as an account executive, and then I moved into a growth role. I was launching new products to market, which is my gift. Then got made redundant from my own team built last year. And I had never been made redundant or been let go from a job. So I just took some time to work out what I wanted to do. And I launched Sell Anything. So the company didn't actually have a brand or a name for over 3 months. That was a rule that I was running by. I was just going to do it as myself. And my goal was to just
Brave.
my goal was just to help founders make money. So I just wanted to pass on the skills I developed and the processes I built for myself in my business and other people's to help people like me early in their journey make their first, say, $100,000, right? And enable them to move into that business full time, hire people, raise money, whatever it is. But the vehicle of growth for their company and the problem they're solving to get to more people is sales. They have to make revenue. So Sell Anything's taken a few forms over the last 12 months, but now today we are helping founders leading sales get to the next stage of revenue. And the distinction is we work with founders who are still leading sales. So I want to be really clear on that. And they can be anywhere from 250K a year in revenue up to, one of our clients is doing well and truly over 2.5 million. They're looking to go to the next stage. And then generally we build out. So what we do is we build a repeatable, scalable sales process with them and help them hire and implement the right people to execute on once it's proven. And that's a really common challenge for a scaling company is we have gone and got our first, say, 20, 30, 50 customers to a certain point of growth. And I do not have like the founder may not have a background in sales, and they want someone to come in, which is us, and help them over 3 to 6 months, really make it robust and simple and get rid of complexities, and then build out a team to continue delivering on that. So we've worked with over 30 startups in the last 12 months, which is really amazing. We've helped our clients at this point now probably attain I'd say over $2 million in new revenue based on some deals that I saw get closed from clients in the last couple of weeks. And yeah, we are now a team of 3. So I'm taking it pretty slow, and it's a service-based business. I'm just trying to be profitable, which is what we have been since we started, and really just enjoying the opportunity to meet amazing people. So it's not a very simple one-line answer about what Sell Anything is, but that's kind of the journey.
Well, 30 startups in a year. Well, that is Sell Anything is kind of kicking some goals there for sure. And I think, as you mentioned about your journey of how Sell Anything really started out for you, and how strong, the kind of strong conviction that you had during that phase when you did not even have the name of the company, you did not know a lot of other stuff, but you were really kind of, you were deep down, kind of working for things for it to work out. The company, the service, as you mentioned, you were still kind of working on it, trying to make things better when it really reaches there. So I'm so happy that you are able to kind of reach a stage where what success really means to you, what following your own voice, your own goals really means to you, creating your own path. You have done that and you're still on that path, and I gotta wish you all the best for many more to come. And this is incredible, how What Sell Anything is doing, and you've just taken us through what Sell Anything does for a lot of startups over there, how it helps them earn, the first few $1,000 that you have mentioned, $100,000 that you've mentioned. uh, for anyone who's listening to us today, they probably might not have their own startup as of now, or they might be thinking of one starting soon. Some of them may not be really into the entrepreneurship space, but they would like to still work in a job, which is even amazing. So for everyone who's listening to us today, Sean, if I can ask you, what are the three sales myth for if you would like to burst today? Because if people really want to hone that skill of being a good salesperson, what would you like to tell them, that if you are thinking this, then that's not the way forward? If you can share that top three sales myths that we can burst today.
Let me just get three together because that's a great question. So I think the first one is the myth that you can't sell is incorrect. Like, anyone can sell. That's why it's called Sell Anything as well, because I'm a firm belief if you have a structure, you can sell anything. I've sold lots of different things in my life. Yeah, if you can talk to people, you can understand a problem, you can ask really great questions, you can pretty much, sales as a function is being a great listener, asking really great questions, understanding people's problems, and then guiding them to the solution that solves that pain and putting price tag on it, obviously. The second one, salespeople are sleazy. The kind of the car salesman or real estate agent jokes you hear a lot. Most of the salespeople I know are incredibly analytical. This was actually a big weakness of mine, but I did not have this. Sales is very science, especially when it's following up with people, looking at lead data, source data. I won't use too much more jargon, but essentially, some of the best salespeople I know have analyst backgrounds or technical backgrounds, and it's because they love patterns. Like, problem solving is pattern recognition. I just love looking at big sets of information as well. The third one would be that it's actually what frustrates me. I'm sorry, I'm going to take this a little bit of a different direction. Is
Please go on.
It's not looked at as a career path. And I think that's a huge mistake. I actually wish, like in school, I was kind of told I'd be a tradesperson probably. And I really wish someone had said, like, do you know how much money you can make in sales? Because if you can come out of, you don't even have to have a uni degree, right? I had one job interview. We're talking about roles where you're getting paid well and truly over $150,000 a year, right?
Wow.
So you can come out of uni, you can come out of high school, you can go into a customer success, or you can go into like a retail role, and then you can do these different boot camps. Like, there's early work. I was running one last year, career in sales, where you can just get started, go into a job earning probably 55, 60K a year plus commission. And then you can, within 3 years, be on over $100,000 a year, right? If you're really good, you can be on well and truly more than that. And you can move in these massive companies. There's a lot of offshoots. It's the number one skill that all the CEOs in the world have. You look at a lot of their backgrounds, they come from they've done selling at some point. I think, as a career path, like it's a myth. It's like that it's a career path or it's the wrong career path. Changing industry or moving industry or exploring other things, understanding these basic principles will, I actually think it's like kind of stepping through the matrix.
Wow, wise words from the founder of Sell Anything. So those were three myths that we busted today about being a salesperson, or taking up sales as a profession. I know for a lot of us, we are not always in the sales role, but at some point in time, if you're doing a business, even if you're maybe in a job that is a business, there is a part of sales that always comes in your day-to-day life maybe. And learning this, what Sean has really told us today with these three myths that he has busted, is that sales is a skill. So if you are feeling that, oh, this is not for me, I really suck at it, but if you really want to do it, then take it up as a skill, which means that you really need to learn it, practice it. You might suck at the beginning, you might fail at the beginning, but practicing it would really help you kind of improve. So thank you so much, Sean, for being on my first step ever. It was so lovely to kind of chat with you, understand how you have created your own journey, what was your right, what was your wrong, and lovely to chat with you and understand more about sales over here. Thank you so much for being on my first step ever. And before we take your leave, I like to ask a quick question. I always ask my guest speakers to leave our listeners with a quote or a saying that they really resonate with.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And my quote is by Bo Miles, who was like an Australian adventurer. His content is life changing, in my opinion. And the quote is, "Misadventure is a toothache to be avoided, but embraced if it comes along because there's no other choice."
Amazing, amazing. And what a way to end this episode today. So, thank you, Sean, for being on my first step ever. And to everyone who's listening to us today, as I always say, start believing in yourself and keep believing in yourself. Until next time, have a really, really good day wherever you are today. See you.